The following video and documentary is by a content creator named Gbay99. You can find his details down below. In this video, I've watched it a little bit sped up, so make sure if you want to watch the full thing, you can find that and the rest of other great documentaries on his channel there. Okay, so I said when I was going to do this is I was talking about a little bit about the documentary. So for people who don't know, Gbay99 is a lead content creator who made a documentary on Dignitas.
You know, I think it's fair to say
And
League of Legends esports can be really
it's very
boring.
good.
I mean, every year
let's
we
watch
see
a little
the
bit of it
same
together.
regions win the world championships, and not in particularly close sets. In local leagues, one or two teams almost always dominate individual splits. Even in wildcard emerging regions, there's almost always a singular team who is perennially good and wins every title with ease. It's kind of sad, honestly, how little competition exists sometimes today. But back in the earliest days of League events, things were maybe even worse. In North America throughout Season 1, the exact same two teams won nearly every tournament that occurred by wide margins. Europe was considered diverse for having 3 separate teams that traded their local titles, but that was about the most competitive we'd see things. In China, a dynasty was starting that would rule the eastern region for half a decade. Even when League of Legends eventually came out in Korea, they almost immediately had 2 different teams who were favorites to win every tournament. And those 2 teams, mind you, were sister teams from the same organization. League has honestly always been like this, but in its early years, this caused the game to be in serious danger of having its competitive scene die. If you don't have competition, people aren't going to want to watch your esport, they'll get tired of it and leave. If this game was going to have any kind of future, somebody was going to have to come along and make it fun.
And that somebody was us! That's a TLDR for this video, okay. It's really well done. So if you haven't seen any of Gbay's other stuff, he used to be a content creator, and then that used to do highlight. He used to do a lot of different things, and I remember talking to him, and like it was just really interesting talking to him because he like what he's passionate for is like long form stuff. And he's passionate about Football Manager. I would talk to him, and I'd be like, "Wow, you're really like interested in a bunch of really weird shit. Like, why don't you ever make videos about this?" He's like, "I just don't think they'd do well. Like, I don't think they'd be good." And he kind of had this exploration where he did a lot of different things for YouTube content, and he settled on the strangest thing ever, which is long form League of Legends content. Usually historical content. He did one more recently about Freak of Freaks, where like they literally flew him out and he got to play with like the team, and he made a documentary on this. He's also famous for his other channel, Gbay100, where he reviews spoons and cutlery. He has a favorite piece of cutlery. I shit you not, it's like a 30-minute video. So we can go. Okay, anyways. anyways. This video goes through a lot of different stuff. The story of Dignitas. Hey, okay, not this one. Not this one. Not this one. Stop using this picture.
Much like the ancient Roman Empire, League of Legends was built in its early years off a class structure.
Oh, yeah.
The ruling class were the pro players, which not many teams were able to
So
reach
like
this height.
the quality of his
The
videos
difference between being
are
a pro
all like
and being
this.
anything else was
I feel like he has a really good
gigantic.
idea
I mean,
of
if you
how
ever saw
to
one of these
make
teams enter a tournament,
a
you
good
would know that
kind of
they
like
were all guaranteed
document
to win it. In the region
or
of North
documentary.
America, there were only 2 rosters who ever earned this title of pro: Team Solo Mid and Counter Logic Gaming. The middle class consisted of amateur teams. These were still filled with pretty good players who were sponsored by established esports organizations like Complexity or Curse. The reason they were classified as amateurs, though, was because
Anyways,
they just weren't.
So it talks about a lot of different things. Can I speed this along? Fuck, I did 2 times.
On the same level as the pros, the skilled player who went by the name Scarra and asked if he wanted to join the team. Scarra agreed, and Rockstar.
Yeah. So, anyways, they go through the formation of the team, where like this is the first actual roster that I ever played on Newegg Wenfest 2012 or 2011. It was a winter online tournament. Never heard about these players ever before. One of these 2 people, I don't remember which, reached out to me. I was just Rambo reached out to me Started playing Sam the Ham. He's actually still on my friends list. I don't remember where. I think he works at Riot now. But essentially, like, this was our original team. The funniest thing about this tournament, which he would have no idea. By the way, we placed like third overall in this tournament. We lost to a Korean roster and we lost to CLG. All the stuff that he says about this is true. So during this roster,
this was the first time Scarra had ever played in a competitive tournament, and he was a little bit nervous. So he told the team that
that's not true.
he would only play if he was allowed to be their support. He didn't want to have
Maybe
the
it was
loss
true.
falling on his shoulders if he were to choke by playing a carry role like his native mid lane. The team agreed and shuffled their roster around a bit officially.
I don't
during the
remember.
tournament, so everything was lining up very well, although Scarra still had a bit of an issue. One of the reasons he wanted to be their support was because he thought he had a really strong offense strategy that nobody would be able to beat him with, Zillion bot lane. This was pre-rework, mind you. In Season 1, he was mostly played as a mid laner, but Scarra believed the revive mechanic coupled with his laning phase harass and boosts could work very well bot lane. The only thing standing in his way from success with this strategy was he didn't know the champion. Scarra had only played the character when he was available during a free week rotation, and sadly didn't have enough in-game currency to buy the champ. Rather than spending real-life money on Riot points to make the purchase, the night before the tournament, Scarra would grind out matches to get enough influence points to buy Zillion, which he eventually did and got to play him as support in the upcoming tournament. It turned out Scarra's Zillion support was a genius strategy. After being seeded into their
yes, it was. I think Rambo or one of the other players was like, I think Zillion supports OP or Zillion's OP. And I'm like, okay, and I just grinded IP the night before to be able to buy Zillion for our tournament day. I played like no games of him before then, but that was like the history of Rock Solid, the initial Rock Solid. Okay. During this time, the funniest shit was the reason we had to get someone else to play for us is because like that roster was because we had problems. Someone, I think it was me or someone else. I'm pretty sure it was for this event where we had Araragi as as the main player, but he just went to go do something else. Like I think he went to go do school or something. And he was a Karthus one trick. And like we got to like the finals or like we beat the entire bracket. And he came back, he's like, all right guys, I'm ready to play. And I'm just like, wait, what the fuck? Wait, this guy flakes the entire like prelims and comes in during like the last day. He's like, all right guys, I'm good. I'm like, no. I think we didn't let him play. I'm like, no, you're not good. Game55, thanks for the sub over this stream.
All their competition with 5 consecutive victories, even beating future.
Was his name goes here? Yeah.
Because this tournament was so big, these were only.
That's just really funny.
To keep things moving quickly. This played pretty well into Rock Solid's hands though, since they could pick their innovative Zillion support every single game, not having to worry about someone banning it in a game 2 or 3. After their qualifying success, they would eventually make it to the main bracket and continued stopping all their opponents in best of ones until they were in the winners finals bracket, where they would now have to face off against CLG. For a blood team like Rock Solid, this is normally where they'd meet their fate, getting 2-0 swept by the real pro team, finishing out the tournament just happy to have made it this far. But to everyone's astonishment, they would crush CLG in game 1. Scarra in particular had a fantastic match on Zillion, giving him all sorts of confidence and cockiness. But sadly, this is when the best of 3 series began, and CLG would just ban Zillion the next 2 matches, ultimately taking the set 2-1. Rock Solid would finish out the tournament getting a 3rd place trophy behind Counter Logic Gaming as well as Team OP, which was an early Korean roster, but that didn't really matter all that much. The revolution here had already begun. With their game 1 victory,
I'm not gonna lie, Team OP was so stacked. I'm surprised they didn't win the event. Team OP was fucking A Lilac. It was all the first generation Korean pros. It was A Lilac, holy shit, Grand Judge, oh my god, their whole roster was enormously stacked, actually. They were playing from Korea. I don't know if Loco was on, no, I don't think Loco was on their roster. It was like a bunch of like really fucking, they were playing Twitch Janna. Like, they were playing Protect the Twitch comps, and I was just like, wait, what the fuck, what do we do? Because it was back when like Janna was like Omega broken too.
Against CLG, they now had the motivation and the faith that they could go toe-to-toe with anyone. Scarra in particular would later turn more dedicated players to try and form a main lineup. One of the team's earliest newer members was a player named Locust, who was actually playing with his own squad in that old Newegg tournament, but was friends with Scarra from back when they played World of Warcraft together on the same server. They'd become...
He did play World of Warcraft on my server. I don't think we were very close friends. I knew him because I had a boosting group in WoW, and we boosted his account to 2K, I'm pretty sure, for the first time. And then he ended up being able to maintain the rating and actually was ended up being like a good, I think, mage by the end of the thing. But like, I'm pretty sure that's where I remember him. Was that right? Fuck, I don't remember. Fuck. I'd have to double check, honestly. I don't remember, but I knew I didn't play with him.
This, of course, would allow Scarra to move back to his main role of playing mid lane. The roster was shaping up nicely, although the team still had a little bit of a problem. Their top laner, Voyboy, as previously mentioned, was only 15 years old and therefore still in high school. He had a lot of real-life obligations at the time that prevented him from attending many tournaments, so the team wanted to get an extra player on the roster who could serve as a little bit of a backup to him. After looking around a bit, Scarra noticed a guy on a team named Oh God Bears who seemed pretty
Yeah, oh god,
talented, so he reached out to him asking if he wanted to join Rock Solid. That player was not a top laner. It was a little bit weird that he would be forced to play his not main role professionally, but he was a happy and fun-loving guy who just kind of agreed to join anyway. Eventually, that dude, I'm a cutie pie, would find a more permanent spot on their roster as the team's main AD carry. Lastly, as Rock Solid was ironing out their starting lineup, one of their players, Rambo, was beginning to move away from competitive league, getting more into commentating League of Legends tournaments. When he eventually left to pursue a career in shoutcasting, the team would again have another hole to fill on their roster, but would again manage to do so. This time, they brought in a jungler who was a bit of an Udyr one-trick, but was incredibly talented and a very smart theory crafter. His name was Jet, and as he joined the team, he would round out a 5-man roster that would serve as the team's main starting lineup for the foreseeable future.
That roster, OP.
In almost all the events they entered. One of their biggest accomplishments was when they managed to upset TSM in a weekly Go for LOL, taking first place overall.
This upset for the weekly TSM Go for LOL, I think I remember this. This might have been the weekly Go for LOL where Zyra just came out and I was streaming and people were just like, Scarra, what do you think about release Zyra? And I'm just like, oh yeah, release Zyra. She's kind of weak. And then I proceed to spam her every single game for the entire weekend, and we smashed everyone. Release Zyra was so broken that you could put a plant like on them and like Q it, and the plant would just kill them at level 2. Actually, 100 to 0. It was insane.
This kind of upset was still a little bit rare.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Week in and week out in many different online tournaments. Maybe more importantly, though, they were also entering and winning a lot of different qualifiers for the few live events that started popping up, such as the IPL, IEM, and MLG tournament.
Going into season 1, we didn't qualify for the World Championships, but we were scrimming all the NA teams, and we were trashing them, actually. If I remember correctly, like, we were doing, like, people would always talk us up as the dark horse because, like, we were crushing people. We couldn't go to Worlds, but we were still scrimming, like, with the teams that would, to like help us and help them.
Tournament circuits. They were quickly establishing themselves as someone who wasn't just one of those pleb teams. I mean, this was a team that was gaining a lot of momentum, and a lot of esports fans really started to love these guys. I know I say it a lot, but I really cannot overemphasize how boring competitive league was, with the same teams winning everything over and over in season 1. Rock Solid managing to find ways to topple these pro teams and overthrow the oppressive class system was a hugely welcome thing by the community.
Oppressive class system. You guys have made League of Legends more interesting.
That's us. For every tournament they played in, especially because they weren't just beating pro teams, but they were crushing them in super entertaining ways. For example, their support player Locust would oftentimes run Gangplank's support, which that might sound like a weird strategy to you if you're only familiar with modern League of Legends, but be rest assured, it was just as weird and strange back in season 1. Locust was this incredibly smart theory crafter and realized that the pre-rework iteration of Gangplank had a few skills that kind of worked well bot lane, specifically if he was played as a support. Namely, his old E ability, Raise Morale, was used by
this was such a stupid way to play the game, by the way.
Attack speed buff to Gangplank and his surrounding allies. This meant that every time you used it, you would be denying a minion kill from your opponent, preventing them from getting gold and experience and whatnot. And alongside the buff it gave, it made him a very strong bot laner who could consistently be used to go aggressive, trying to get kills in laning phase while also denying farm from enemy AD carries. Locust's Gangplank was honestly one of the most fun things to watch in season 1 and will always be burned into the mind of Rock Solid fans who got to see it live. Locust wasn't the only fun guy who liked to do weird things though. I mean, everybody on this team was entertaining in one way or another. Voyboy was routinely stomping on enemies with crazy entertaining champions like Akali. Scarra was still one-tricking his Katarina to insane KDAs, carrying the team in plenty of different matches. Jet was a dominant jungler with Udyr and Trundle and had a fantastic understanding of jungle pathing and map rotations. And of course, Cutie Pie is pretty much the exact same person he is today, a fun-loving, goofy guy who was always having a good time in-game and out. Eventually, Rock Solid had so much success and became so beloved by the community that an established esports organization noticed them. Before long, they would be reached out to and sponsored by Team Dignitas. One of the more important early events Dignitas participated in.
This is such a throwback. Oh my fucking god.
This was a big stepping stone for the team since it would be their very first offline tournament they ever attended. Back in season 1, this was always considered a consequential moment for a roster. People would say, sure, you may be able to have success while playing in online tournaments, but those are played from the comfort of your own home, where you may have a ping advantage and don't have to worry about the stress of being on stage. IPL 3 marks the very first time that Rock Solid, now Dignitas, would be playing in a more high-stakes environment, and this time, rather than playing for $100 in prize money if they win, there was a much bigger prize pool on the line. Unfortunately, Voyboy wouldn't be able to attend this tournament because of his schooling, so the team would have to play with a substitution. Scarra would move up to top lane, and a friend of Dignitas named Lo Cicero would end up swapping in to play.
We got this guy last fucking minute. He literally only played 2 champions the entire, and like we were telling people, we're like, yeah, he's a 2-trick. Like he only plays 2 champions, and teams were just like, yeah, he only can play Morgana and Ryze, or something like that. And everyone agreed with us. And then like no one banned his champions, so he was just playing Morg every game. Also, I started playing Akali this tournament because I thought she was broken, but I didn't really play much of her before. So I just like kind of just like bought her and played her.
Play mid lane for them.
And she was broken, so I was right.
Ready to crush. They started off by sweeping Team Curse 2-0 to make it to the semifinals. Here they'd have to face off against CLG. Of course, CLG were supposed to be one of these unbeatable pro teams, but
so TFT, okay, chill. I got it. I'm a just chatting streamer now for a little bit.
And Big Bad is tying against corner here. Here finally falls. Scarra able to take down 2. Scarra taking down 3 for the triple kill. Jumping down to 1 to chat. There's the ultimate. This is scary. Nice load there. Pick up 1, pick up LP. Now everyone else transfers low. Scarra hurt as well. Scarra can drop down to 2 low now. Staying alive, barely treated. Blow up. Almost around the die. Still alive. Are you serious? Getting out Deer. He knows he can't fight this. The roof is about to come back up. A huge fight going on bottom as well. Crescendo's coming out all over the place. Not shot, just being out of line. Where's the flash? Oh, Scarra goes in.
I just remember thinking this game was a joke because the Kali was just way too good.
TSM lost a narrow 2-1 series against Epic Gamer. This sent Epic into the grand finals where they'd be facing off against Dignitas, which Epic were on a little bit of a hot streak and did have a ton of talent on their team. Dyrus, Westrice, and Crumbs would all shine very brightly in this series, but still, it wasn't enough to take down this new behemoth.
Coming into this tournament, a lot of people were just like, Dignitas. It happened, but it's going to soon be Epic. These teams are all using ringers, so we're going to have to see once they can get their final 5 together and get that roster on the field. These are going to be some high caliber teams.
The next event Dignitas would be participating in was IEM Global Challenge New York.
Let's talk a little bit about IEM Global Challenge New York. This happened about like a couple of weeks after we had like back-to-back events pretty much. When you're playing during the season, like you'll have like hot streaks where like you just have to go to events nonstop and then some like dead time in between. So we came here and we had to play against a bunch of other like international teams. I think this is the first time we played against EU teams on LAN. And I remember specifically talking to an NA rider, and she was just like, "Oh, you got Fnatic in your lobby? Oh, they're just really weak. You got that group for sure." And we're like, "Oh, we do. We got the group for sure. No problem." I think Fnatic was like super fucking broken back then. I'm not gonna lie.
Still playing as rock solid and would be their first live event where they got to play with their full roster. However, sadly for Dignitas, they would have a pretty unfortunate result. Although they'd stop TSM in group stage, they would lose 2 best-of-1s against CLG and Fnatic. Due to the limited number of games in groups, this was enough to knock them out of the tournament. Now, this is something I personally dislike about the early League of Legends circuits where
I don't think after this event, I think Cutie got super mad at Jat and was like, "I'm not playing with him anymore." Because Jat was also just like, "Yeah, I'm not really playing the game much anymore. Like, I got accepted for a job at Riot, and I'm just like, what? You didn't want to tell." You want to tell us?
That occurred in some of these group stages, and you could very easily see really good teams getting a little unlucky and being knocked out in groups before given a shot to prove themselves in a real best-of series. I can only imagine how hard it must have been for the players themselves to travel all the way across the country to New York City just to play 3 separate games and 2 disappointing performances, sending them home already. I mean,
yeah, because like he was really good at IPL, like he knew everything, right? But like he like didn't play the game that much.
Angel swoop in to lighten the mood up. One of the ESL hosts and interviewers who went by the name Carmack came up to
Scarra. Oh my fucking god! Get me out of this fucking
victim.
You are Dignitas pro gamer, yes?
Correct. My name is Scarra. I'm on Team Dignitas, and yeah.
That's the best map ever.
What?
That's true.
Yeah.
Best map ever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And your team are here tomorrow big?
No, we're out. We can't go on.
No. Your team are here tomorrow big?
We'll be here, but we won't be playing.
Your team are here tomorrow big?
I don't know, sir. I don't know what you're saying. I can't understand you. Can we get like a Denmark translator over here? All right, this is my teammate. Wait. Say it again. Say what you just said.
Your team are here tomorrow big?
We're here tomorrow big? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Oh my god.
This
Your team are here tomorrow big.
interview has like 2 million views.
I don't understand.
American. See, this is one of the greatest parts about Dignitas. Even if they got a super disappointing result, their players would always remain happy and positive throughout it. They had
this New York event. I remember this event. The reason why he says that is I don't remember it like he says it. What happened during this event was it happened at the same time as New York Comic-Con. So after we lost, Kitty was like, "Peace," and he dipped to go to the Hatsune Miku concert, and we didn't see him for like the rest of the day. Like after we lost first day. I think he told us that it was really weird because like the people in the line were just like different age group than him.
Had some level of joy that was just so contagious. It was possible to beat them in game, but it was impossible to keep smiles off their faces.
Shout out to my waifu Miku right here.
Every time you saw
Like,
these guys,
he actually went to go watch them.
Before long, people almost forgot how good they were as players. Their performances were irrelevant to their fans. They started to love them just for their personalities alone. But Dignitas were still really good. It's important to remember, and they had something up their sleeves that they'd be using to reward those fans soon enough. One of the most popular tournament formats in Season 2 was the King of the Hill series. This was a structure where 2 teams would play against each other on a particular week, the victor then getting to defend their title against a new team next week, and so on and so forth until one team was crowned King of the Hill.
I actually love
The
this.
next event Dignitas would enter would be one of these King of the Hill series, hosted by Rampage. This had a ton of impressive talent who would be competing from both North America and Europe. SK Gaming and Fnatic, who were Europe's top 2 teams, would be playing alongside the 5 best organizations from North America, which of course included Dignitas. One thing to mention about this event was it actually had a little bit of controversy surrounding it, specifically with the prize money. The way cash was doled out here was things would start off with 2 teams playing against each other. In this case, it's Dignitas and Complexity in the first game. The winner then becomes King of the Hill and gets $200 for each win. They then move on to the the following week and play the next challenger, but here's the catch. If the king is dethroned, the person to dethrone them then gets 50% of what the king won. This means that, hypothetically, if there's a king who wins, let's say, the first 4 weeks, playing in week 5, they will only have $200 in prize money on the line, whereas if the challenging team beats them, then they'll earn a prize of $600 because of that bonus. This irks people a little bit since it would kind of punish a team if they were able to be the king for a really long time.
Don't even
Like
remember
this. Be rewarding someone for doing so well. But then again, I mean, these are quite possibly the 7 best teams in the world we have competing. There's probably not any sort of way that someone's going to win more than 1 or 2 games in a row, right?
Just too easy. Just too easy. Just too easy. It was that easy.
Dignitas played insanely well and quickly established themselves as quite possibly the best team in the world. Like in previous events, they didn't just win these games, but they crushed their opponents and did so with hilariously fun and weird champions. Voyboy was still styling with Akali top lane, Scarra was picking Heimerdinger mid lane into counterpick champions who were supposed to beat him. Hell, even Jet played Rammus in a decisive game 3 against Fnatic. We knew Dignitas were good and had talent on their roster, but I think we forgot how good this team was when they were at full force in a best of 3 setting. They could not only beat the best competition out there, but they could do so in such fun and entertaining ways that mimicked their great personalities so well. The only thing that you could maybe take away from the team at this specific tournament was it was played on NA's servers, so the 2 European teams here had to play with much higher ping, but to be frank, everyone's ping was pretty awful back in those days, and Dignitas were on such a hot streak that I would bet on them to win even if this was a LAN. Really, everybody was rooting for Dig here. They were the newcomers who made League of Legends fun again, who were now apparently one of the best teams in the world. With everything riding high for them, what could possibly go wrong?
What went wrong?
One of the biggest yearly tournaments in League's first few seasons were the World Cyber Games, which you may remember this event, which was pitched as the Olympics of gaming. It had a lot of historical importance in the League scene since this was the first
Scumbag Jet
WCG 2010, but it was also just a really cool and unusual event in later years, seeing as it was the Olympics of gaming. Rather than the system we have today where players on teams will come from all different corners of the world, WCG required that all teams competing have rosters entirely from the same country. Like the Olympics, you aren't really competing as a team here, but rather competing representing your country. Each country has qualifiers to pick their representative, then all countries compete against each other at the main offline event, which WCG 2010
I love WCG.
was a super hyped up league event for a few different reasons. The biggest of which
we gotta listen to your their theme song. Here we go. This is the best song, dude. Driven by a passion to win, playing hard to hard. It's like the Pokemon opening song if it was just really shit. Stands before us now, beyond the game. The shadow of the golden gate. We have come to decide our fate. We're here to celebrate beyond the game. Beyond the game. At last, the moment's at hand. All we need is to believe we can. We'll make our stand beyond the game. Beyond the game. This is so long. Beyond the game. Beyond the game. That's a banger, dude. It grew on me, man. Alright, anyways,
this WCG forced almost every top League of Legends team to swap their rosters around and make new teams. For example, CLG and TSM, who were lifelong rivals, both consisted of American and Canadian players, so to enter the World Cyber Games, both teams would kind of merge their rosters. Counterlogic Gaming would enter the Canadian qualifiers with established CLG stars like Hotshot GG, Elements, and Big Fat LP, who would team up with TSM's Canadian players, Chaos and Odd1. Similarly, the reverse happened with TSM, where CLG's American players would team up with the TSM stars on a new team that they would rename to Chicks Dig Elo. Seeing this sort of forced collaboration was a really fun thing for fans.
CDE was actually a sick team
that we would never really see anywhere else.
They're probably
the United States, so they would be entering the American qualifiers, but there was one little exception. Their jungler Jad held dual citizenship as both an American and Canadian. Real name Joshua Leisman, Jad was born in Canada and had some old Canadian friends who played League of Legends that he still kept in contact with, and one of his old buddies started a team that he wanted to play in the Canadian qualifiers for WCG and asked Jad if he could help this team out. Now this is where things get a little bit tricky. It's unclear whether Jad actually played in some of the qualifying games or just practiced with the team, but he would do something to help out his buddy in these qualifiers. Whatever it wasn't enough, as the team would lose the Canadian qualifiers to CLG Canada, who ended up grabbing the spot. Jad was still playing for Team Dignitas at this time though, and jungled for them as they stomped through the American qualifiers. They would meet up against Chicks Dig Elo in the Grand.
Dude, this drama happened the same time that CLG's drama happened with there was a female tournament, female only tournament, and there was I think it was when people were like talking about, I think Chaucer or Gigi played in that tournament like on one of their accounts. I remember this. Oh fuck, Link actually knows the full story. This is so fun. The old drama was so funny, dude.
And were coming from losers. Whoever won this best of 3 was supposed to be the American representative for the main event. But this is where things get really, really crazy. Some of the players on CDE, namely TSM's owner Reginald, claimed that Jack shouldn't be allowed to play on Dignitas since he already played in the Canadian qualifiers. According to the WCG rulebook, there is a rule against a player with dual citizenship representing more than one country. The choice of which country is locked in as soon as they participate in any WCG competition. According to Dignitas, though, they had already asked WCG admins if Jack was still okay to play with them after his stint with his Canadian friend, where the admins responded sure, because his Canadian qualifying team, quote, wasn't serious. On top of this, Jack was already on the USA team before.
I still have access to that Facebook fan page, by the way.
So if the
Sorry.
team were to be disqualified, it would be his friend's team and not Dignitas. As convoluted as all this was, it seemed like it didn't really matter at first. When it came to the grand final set that was about to be played, the way it was structured was because Dignitas was coming from winners bracket and CDE from losers, Dig would be given a 1-game advantage in their best of 3 series. This meant that if they won a single match, they would win a qualifying spot, whereas CDE would have to win 2 in a row to win it themselves. But in spite of this tough setback, CDE would sweep Dig 2 games to nothing to get the qualifying spot, or at least that's what they thought. It was then revealed afterwards that the American qualifiers supposedly had a bracket reset involved. It appears that no other region had this, but because Dignitas had never been sent to losers, this first loss against CDE would, in theory, send them to losers and then reset the bracket, creating one final best of 3 series to determine the winner. This is a system that does occur in plenty of other esports, but League had not used it before, and to my knowledge has not used it since. There were claims that this rule was added retroactively by WCG or even Riot, since no other region used this system, but honestly it was probably just an issue of the tournament not being run super well. If you scour these old
No, it was just a tournament being shit. And I remember, I think someone found out this loophole and talked about, like, should we talk about this?
Either way, though, Dignitas and CDE had to show up the next day to play their second set and finish out the series. Dignitas then won it and were given the qualifying spot to WCG 2011, which I think you can imagine how the community responded to all this. Seemingly overnight, the perception of Dignitas changed as everybody started rooting against them, as they had now robbed a qualifying spot from some of the most beloved pros from North America's most popular teams. CDE also didn't really help things themselves as they began complaining about how much everyone had screwed them out of their insane 2-0 sweep. Honestly, the fault here was mostly on WCG staff for having incredibly unclear rules and a horrible qualifying structure, but sadly, of course, it was Dignitas who had to take the heat for all this. Eventually, to compensate for the situation, WCG gave both teams qualification to the main event, so 2 American squads would attend. After both made it out of the group stage, they would face off against each other in the very first round of the playoff bracket, which I think you can guess who people were rooting for. CDE would take the series 2 games to 1, advancing in bracket, and would win the rest of their matches without dropping a single game the remainder of the tournament.
I don't even
Later on, the
remember
jungler for
this.
CDE, CLG's player Sing Vicious, said that this was the best team he ever played on. On the opposite side of things, for Dignitas, this tournament was obviously a downer to say the least. Not only did they lose out on the gold and not get to place in top 3, but they also lost out on all the good favor the community had for them and their lovable personalities.
I don't even
And
remember
ultimately,
this.
this would cause quite a bit of fallout. Their jungler Jet would leave the team shortly thereafter, and in tradition,
That's
of
not
teams
why
where
he
Rambo,
left
Jet
the
would move
team.
into casting. He got a job at Riot Games, firstly on the QA team working on game balance, but eventually built up a career as one of the most beloved casters in the North American professional scene. People obviously moved on from this scandal pretty quickly, and it was largely forgotten as the years went by. In the grand scheme of things, it obviously didn't affect Jet's career or anyone else's on Dignitas for that matter, but it was still a really sad thing to see happen. This roster had just months ago been hailed as the saviors of League of Legends, who made the competitive scene fun again and brought really cool strategies into the limelight for all their fans to see. But for all they did for us, we would give them a pretty crummy send-off. I
Until
think it's safe to say that, at the very least, Dignitas have established themselves as a very weird team. The things that they've been doing, both as Rock Solid and Dig, are not normal whatsoever. It's not normal for a random pleb team to be able to win major tournaments beating League's top pros. It's certainly not typical for a random group of guys like that to earn the title of best in the world, even for a brief period of time. It's 1,000,000 to 1 odds that so many great, lovable personalities would all end up on the exact same team, and it's almost equally impressive that those same guys found a way to
Was
become
that?
so loathed by the community at large. When Jet left
You
the
guys
team,
see that?
best in the world, even for a brief period of time. It's 1,000,000 to 1 odds.
That's Show. I don't know if you guys know him. I think he plays Hearthstone right now.
That so many
It's
great
funny.
lovable personalities
Sorry,
would
just
all end
random
up on the exact
aside.
same team, and it's almost equally impressive that those same guys found a way to become so loathed by the community at large. When Jet left the team, it was a really sad watershed moment for the squad, since he was the first departure from their original legendary 5-man roster. Ultimately, this ended up being a turning point for the organization, since now there were some big questions about their future. Was this just a singular moment in history where we got to see this wacky team full of bozos together for a brief period of time? Is now the moment when they start to transition into becoming a more normal and ordinary organization as a whole? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go ahead and meet Jet's replacement. I will dominate. When he first joined Dignitas, Dominate was still early on in what would turn into a long League of Legends career. At the time, he was only 21 years old, stomping on kids in solo queue and rising up in rating to become one of the most prominent players in North America. He's also 6'4" and rose for UC Davis. Now, if you had any worries that Dom's addition to this team would somehow make Dignitas more normal, let me go ahead and put those worries to rest. I Will Dominate had been practicing with the team for about a month prior, but he would only officially join Dignitas the day before their next major tournament, IEM Kiev. Now, conventional wisdom says we shouldn't expect Dignitas to be super good since they have a fresh new face and they didn't even perform all that well at their last event anyway. But then again, this is Dig we're talking about, so we maybe shouldn't be all that surprised when they would beat Team Cypher as well as against All Authority in the group stage to make it into playoffs, and then after losing
AAA was the most overhyped team I'd ever played against. They were not. Everyone on that I think the entire roster hated each other. I think that's why. It was like Yellow Star plus other people. They I think it was like the day before, like they were just like fucking yelling. They were like I don't think any of them liked each other.
2 games to 1 to get 3rd place. This was a shockingly good performance as Dignitas racked up another trophy that a lot of people didn't expect them to get. But maybe more importantly, this gave them last second qualifying points needed for the IEM Season 6 World Championship. And at that tournament, Dig would beat nearly everyone in their 16 group stage to make it out of groups, then sweeping AAA 2 games to nothing before losing to Moscow 5 in the grand final. The loss to M5.
Oh god, that tournament was the tournament that Boy was like, I think Lee Sin top is broken, and I was like, Voy, go for it. And Voy was playing lane Lee Sin top, and it was literally unbeatable. Like I remember people were just like, what the fuck do I do?
It's probably disappointing, but Dig put on really great performances that almost nobody saw coming. They were just moments removed from trying out a new jungler after losing to a team literally named Chicks Dig Elo, but they had already recaptured the success of their previous roster and re-established themselves as possibly the best team in North America, while certainly being challengers for a world title. To the joy of their fans, Dominate was also just as wild and crazy of a personality as any of the other players on the team, which made it feel like he really belonged. Now, with a stable roster once again, the team had another new adventure to embark on. This is the moment in League's history where most people were realizing that Korea was becoming the best region in the world. League of Legends had only been released in the country somewhat recently. Their infrastructure and competitive esports scene left over from StarCraft Brood War was already developing some of the best League of Legends players alive. Coincidentally, the Season 2 World Championships were right around the corner, so most teams at this point in time decided to head off to Korea and play in their OGN Champions League, taking it as an opportunity to improve as much as they could. All the top talent from NA, Europe, and even China would be going, which of course included Dignitas. Most of the teams who made the trek to Korea got some sort of positive result out of it. Some of them placed quite well in OGN Champions, others managed to escape groups, and even the ones who failed ended up still getting to experience esports culture firsthand. But Dignitas once again would find a way to be the oddballs that they've always been. This time it was their newest player, Dominate, who almost immediately upon landing in Korea, he would start to get sick, like really sick. It was as though his body was rejecting the prolonged exposure to non-American soil. Dom would be rushed to the emergency room twice during their stay, which probably affected practicing and performance at least a little bit. Dig would narrowly miss out on getting out of their group, getting 1 win and 2 losses in total, and would be sent home fairly early. This disappointing.
Before that event, I sat down with, I think it was this event. No, it was this event. Before this event, because I had to stop my schooling to go here. Okay, I had to literally like take a break on my exams, and at the moment, like I wasn't doing well in school. I literally skipped the finals to compete in one of the tournaments. I think it was the New York one. I had to skip my finals for that one, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it," you know. That tournament was I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for my family. I sat them down at Olive Garden, and I was just like, "Look, like." This is the reasons why I should go. Like, I want to pursue competitive League of Legends, like, seriously. And I was telling them, I was like giving them like, you know, like this is like the potential financial like incentive, this like potential like whether I really love this, and they're like just really cool about it. Like, yeah, go do it. And the first tournament I fucking went to, I got blown out in I went to a really fancy restaurant. Why are you guys laughing, dude? But yeah, I got blown out like literally the first day, which blows. I remember at this event. Okay, I don't hate Locust at all. Okay, I think of all the people on the team, like there's some people that get along, but I didn't hate Locust. But during this event, he could only play Soraka. Like, actually, we had to first pick Soraka every game. Because like without Soraka, we literally weren't capable of winning games, period. And so like I think it was like Soraka and something else. So like we had to fucking pick Soraka. QD says Heartstuck Silver. Yeah, they gave us fucking bugged accounts. It was an account where like if we ever lost by more than 0-4, or like if we were 0-4 or more, we would lose 90 LP. At the time there wasn't a it was just a static amount of LP. You went from 0 to 2,000 or 0 to like 2,500. So what ends up happening is like we were just like we'd play, and then if we were on opposite teams, like Crumb's like, you got me? I'm like, yeah, I got you. Like one of us would just run into the other person so you get a kill at the very end of the game right before we lost, so that I was told it's an anti-smurfing like technology that they put on the accounts. But like we every one of us grinding there had like a terrible 90-point loss. Like actually 90. It was like, dude, how many people go 0-4 in games? You can legitimately go 0-4, but it wouldn't matter because like if you did, you just took the 90. It was so bad.
Result would see another 2 roster changes to the team upon their return to the United States. Firstly, their legendary support Locust would move away from competitive league as he was.
Yeah, so after this event, I had to tell Locust, I'm like, I had to tell everyone they're out, and everyone would just be like, you're cool to tell them, right? And I'm like, I have to do it. I'm like, I'm so experienced at letting people go. I feel like this should have been like an org thing, but it was like a me thing. I was the one who told every single person they had to go.
He was replaced by a player named Patoy. After his departure, Dig's top laner Voidboy would leave the team to move.
Oh my god, what did Kitty say about Patoy? What can I say? Yeah, he doesn't like Patoy. I don't think we vibed well together. I think he was an excellent support. At the time, he was literally one of the best in the region. But like, they didn't vibe well. Let's just put
more
it that
established
way.
counter logic gaming, keeping in their tradition of forcing non-top laners to play top lane for them. Dignitas would sign a jungler, Crumbs, to fill out their roster once again. As the year passed by, it started to
Do you know why we signed Crumbs? We signed Crumbs because we looked at the ladder and we were just like, who is the biggest sweat on the ladder? Like, who is not signed and someone who's the biggest sweat? And we looked and we saw Crumbs play 3,000 solo queue games that season. And we were just like, this guy has no life. We need him. And that's the reason why he was able to go top lane, because we were just like, damn, dude, this guy played so many games that I'm sure he'll be good regardless. It was literally like a stupid amount of games, like 2,000 to 3,000.
to seem as though Dignitas was just in a constant state of fluctuation, seesawing back and forth between being a good team one day and a bad team the next. This wasn't exactly the best time for this to be happening, since the competition in League of Legends was starting to get pretty fierce. With each passing tournament, more and more talented teams were showing up who would go on to become the future stars of the game. If Dignitas wanted to recapture their rock-solid glory days and take home a major first-place trophy once again, they would have to seize any opportunity that came their way soon. The 2012 MLG Summer Championship was one of the last majors in League of Legends before the end of Season 2 and was incredibly important for a few reasons. For starters, it was just a big tournament with a first place prize of $20,000 awarded to the winners. That was obviously a nice payday, but maybe more importantly than that, this tournament was one of the last chances teams had to improve their standings for the Season 2 regionals. Season 2 Worlds was right around the corner and had a ton of hype building up to it, since it would boast the biggest prize pool any LoL tournament had ever seen. Everybody wanted to qualify to attend, but to do so, they would have to place top 3 in their local regionals. The North American regional tournament was held shortly before, with a single elimination bracket where the top 3 teams made it to Worlds. On top of that, these qualifiers would also give those 3 victors a bid to the newly forming LCS.
That's such a funny hype video, by the way.
Competition for League starting in Season 3. It isn't much exaggeration to say that these qualifiers were maybe the biggest tournament anyone had ever played in up until this point, and seeding for them was really important. Because it was only single elimination, it was imperative for teams to get a good matchup for their first round. For example, if a team got the number 8 seed, meaning that in round 1 they would have to play against the number 1 seed, losing here, which is likely, would knock them out of contention entirely, eliminating any Worlds or potential LCS dreams. But if that same team increased their seeding by even just a little bit and got an easier match for their first round, that was a big deal. Not only would they obviously have an easier time winning, but even if they lost their next round in bracket, they would be given a second chance to qualify through the 3rd place match. Getting a good seed here so you dodged any bad matchups you may have in round 1 was a really big deal, and this MLG tournament was the last chance anyone had to influence their seeding. On top of all this, North America's 2 biggest teams, TSM and CLG, didn't bother to show up here. Their seeding couldn't be influenced by a win or loss, so these organizations decided to just continue boot camping trying to prepare for Worlds, but that only gave more excitement to this competition, since now anyone could win it all. No matter who you were, you could get a really big payday, influence your seeding in a major way, and be well equipped to qualify for Worlds as well as LCS, on top of the joy that you would obviously get to have holding a first place trophy, and it looked like Dignitas were ready to take advantage of this. The way the event was structured was there were 2 brackets, a red bracket and blue bracket, where each were both double elimination.
I don't even remember this.
In grand finals. In the red bracket,
Oh wait, this was the MLG.
Team dynamic twice in some fairly close sets.
You saw that? CLG Black. Holy shit, that's the fucking throwback, Lee. There you are, man.
A lot of talent on their team, including future LCS stars Zion, Spartan, and Zig, but Dig would still eke out wins against them to make it to grand finals and would have to face off against Team Curse. Again, this was a really important match. The way the standings were starting to shape up, whoever lost this would likely have to play against Team Dynamic in the North American regionals, who were going to be stiff competition no matter what, even though Dignitas did just beat.
No one thought they would be stiff competition. Everyone thought that they were the easiest team to hit in the finals. Like, everyone. We were like super happy if we could play against them.
They were, again, an up-and-coming team filled with future LCS stars, whereas whoever won the series, on the other hand, would likely play against Team Solo Mid Evo, which was a sister team to TSM, who had recently been putting up some much weaker performances and shouldn't be.
They were the more scary team to play against.
Quite as tough. Not to mention, again, there is a ton of prestige getting to hold a first-place trophy and $20,000. But there is something in the blood of Dignitas that prevents them from being normal. Funnily enough, their old jungler Jat would be casting this grand final set with Demon, which, as everyone was getting hyped up and excited for game number 1, Jat noticed something kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the tournaments in the past, that's all in Sonic Out. We don't worry about that. But this apparently is real. If we hop over to Champion Select, that's never real. Not in a million years. If that's real, I'd eat my hat, because that is bonkers.
Dignitas and Curse had both picked all random champions, and we're going to run it down mid lane, game 1 of this ever-important best of 5.
Long, crazy poke game. And that's going to be a great catch there on towards Savius. Savius is going to really hurt it. It's goes down, Savius drops as well. Curse is going to catch on Toy down. Toy goes down. Westrise picking up a double kill. That's going to work very well. They are going to get a lot of poke on towards the tower. They're going to get a slow Westrise. I mean, YouTube's go very deep. He wants that kill on Westrise. He actually just wants to go die. That's all they do. They just want to simply go back and fight. So he's trying to make abuse of the rules there. Now, Jackie should get taken down. Crumbs manages to get a kill there. Again, the E coming out from Toy just getting that slow down. Savius is going too deep with the owner. And that's Scarra manages to pick up the killer. He's going to get taken down. Manages to get taken down Savius as well. The mushroom shot. He gets 1, he gets 2. Can he get a triple? No, Jackie's going to survive. This Unify will just pop him in the back though. Very nicely done. He's being left to eaten away. They're not going to go but don't worry, because Super Minions will end this misery for us. Yes, finally, Scarra's going to shoot him. And Unify. And Dignitas take game 1. And what a strange game it was indeed. 85, 66, 31 minutes gone. Thanks for making me cast an arrow, guys.
The rest of the series that was played would see Curse winning, with the final tally being 3 games to 2, but that wouldn't really matter, as MLG said this was collusion and stripped both teams of the prize money and circuit points, awarding them to the teams below them. Now, was this collusion? I think probably not. I mean, I don't think that if these teams colluded to split the winnings or whatever, that they would do so in such a blatantly obvious way. I believe that Dignitas genuinely just wanted to have some fun here, and what's more fun than A-ramming game 1 of a grand finals? After all was said and done, Dignitas would have to face off against Team Dynamic after all, round 1 of the end.
Okay. I talked about this when I was streaming just now. So, how do you define collusion? Okay. Let me go. Dictionary.com defines collusion as a secret agreement, especially for fraudulent or treacherous purposes or conspiracy. Okay, so I can safely say, look, okay, I know who to blame for this. Okay, so the reason why this happened, which I talked about before, was that this MLG was shit because there was a lot of really bullshit rules. They obviously didn't know what they were doing. They've never held like a league tournament before. At the time, you literally couldn't pee in between game. Like you could not use the restroom. Like it got so bad that the finals, like the finals of the game, or like the semifinals, one team was just like, we really need to go. Like we have to go, and they finally were just like, okay, we'll let you go. But like in the rulebook, you could not use the restroom like at all while you were playing. Additionally, if you could not play on Summoner's Rift if you were to practice. To warm up, you were forced to warm up on you were forced to warm up on, what was the map that's Arathi Basin. That or Twisted Tree Line. Dominion. Yeah, you're forced to warm up on Dominion. Dominion that has no jungle minions, by the way. So when Dom asked them, there's no jungle, how do I warm up here? They were just like confused because they didn't know either. And so people were super pissed. I remember like Dom and Saint, I don't remember if Saint was there. People were super fucking pissed the entire event because shit like this was happening, and it was like the games were ultra delayed, super delayed. Okay. So right before the finals, we're going out for dinner. And okay, it's funny because we're in the middle of like the food area, and we're just talking about like, yeah, you wanna just like play ARAM? I just think it'd be funny, and everyone's like, yeah, let's just fucking do it. And I just remember Liquid 112, Steve was there, and he was like, yeah, okay, all right. And we got reported on by like fucking like a random person who was just walking by, who was just like, he started listening in. He's like, bro, I think they're colluding. And like, that's how we got colluded on. That's how I got reported on because of that. We had no thoughts about splitting the cash or the prize pool. I think everyone was just pissed at the event. And obviously I don't encourage this to happen, okay, at all. I'm just saying, also, funny enough, wait, hold on, where's the picture? Just
Here, and what's more fun than ARAM in game 1 of a grand final? Teams below them.
Kitty would always joke that this was just like us paying for the college tuition because all these people were like 16. So you know what? I thought about it. And I was like, I'm not that mad.
Now, was this collusion? I think probably not. I mean, I don't think that if these teams colluded, one of the NA regionals, but fashion 2 games to nothing, this put Scarra and company up against CLG once again in the semifinals. This, of course, was pretty reminiscent of the very first time they ever faced off in the semis all those years ago in 2010. And just like all those years ago, Dignitas took game 1. Whoever won this best of 3 series would be off to Worlds in the LCS. They'd effectively secure their future in competitive league.
Hey, we're about to go ham.
Than just game 1.
No, Steve didn't stitch, just someone else. Hot shot getting caught. Got him. Dude, this was back when Jungle fucking Alistar was a thing. Holy shit. That character was so broken. Oh, was this a 70-minute game where literally we had to win because Lichbane Nidalee took 1 tower every 5 minutes? Holy shit, this was such a funny game. It was so long. That's because at some point we couldn't team fight because Doublelift was so strong, he 3-shot our whole team. And so our entire strategy was we had to split push. It's 76 minutes. We literally won this one Lichbane proc at a time. Like, that is how... It was such a good game. I'm not even saying, like, this was such a fucking funny game.
once again, Dignitas found a way to be the lovable weirdos that they are, surprising everyone by not only beating CLG, but doing so in a nearly 80-minute long game that might be one of the most back-and-forth games in League of Legends history. They beat their old pal Voyboy to make it to Grand Finals, where they would end up losing to TSM 2-0, but at that point, it didn't really matter. They had made it to Worlds.
Our win rate against TSM was like 0%. Like the entire year, if you tracked our win rate, it was literally we lost 80-something% of the time. It was disgusting. So this is how it would happen. CLG would always be able to do well against TSM. We would always smash CLG, and then we would lose to TSM every time. That's how the top three always worked out. Because like TSM was like, CLG was like really easy to beat with like random shit. And then after we beat CLG with random shit, TSM would just ban it. We'd be like, well shit, we didn't come prepared with 2 strategies for the tournament.
And LCS. Continuing their streak of inconsistent and weird play, Dignitas would get knocked out of Worlds, losing all of their games in group stage. They'd even lose to the wildcard team Saigon Jokers represent.
I wonder why we lost those games. Could it possibly be because all of my teammates were omega fucking tilted because someone leaked their strategy to the... No, I'm just kidding, Darius. Don't worry, dude. I just still remember those days, and I'm the only one communicating, by the way. No one else is talking during this fucking game against Saigon Jokers. I'm getting 1v2 mid lane as Cat versus Leona Ezreal, and at level 6 I have the same CS, by the way. I remember this game and being like, damn dude, I'm doing pretty well. But like no one said anything, and afterwards Crumb's just like, sorry, I'm just so pissed, I want to strangle Darius. I'm like, all right, dude, you know what? Sure, like something like I'm like kill Darius. I'm like, what can I'm not gonna be mad. And then afterwards, the world fucking champion mid laner from TPA puts out a tell-on, and it's just like, yeah, Scarra's just shit at the game. And I'm just like, what do I fucking say? I'm not gonna say my teammates are so tilted they couldn't talk and didn't play the game. I was just like, all right, whatever, dude. I just read that shit. I was really sad. Lexadian, welcome back for 7 months.
Representing Vietnam, which was pretty shocking to a lot of viewers. If that wasn't weird enough, following this tournament, I Will Dominate, their jungler, would be banned from competitive play for a year by Riot Games for flaming players in solo queue. I hope I don't have to tell you, this is not normal. None of this is normal. Other teams don't do this. Normal teams don't come top 2 at tournaments after signing players days before the event. Normal teams don't lose tournaments because their jungler's body is rejecting the country he's in. Normal teams don't play Gangplank support or get banned from competitive play or get caught up in hilarious
Thanks,
or make
Dom.
random ridiculous tweets that everybody just starts repeating across the internet, because why not? If only one of these things happened to a team, it would be odd. But the fact that it's the same team throughout years of play, throughout dozens of rosters, the fact that they're the ones that keep getting involved in all of this is honestly incredible. You know, the ethos and spirit of Dignitas as a whole might best be represented at the MLG 2012 Spring Championships in Anaheim. Here, a hyped up Dignitas, after just beating CLG, qualified for the winners bracket finals, where in response, I Will Dominate stood up and smashed his headset on the table, breaking it in the process. His team sitting next to him, Scarra, responded by saying, dude, you just broke your headset, look. To which
I remember that. That was so funny.
When Dominate left the team due to his ban, Dignitas responded
TSM and CLG, I was pretty sure what the fuck they
player to
did.
play top lane, keeping with their time-honored tradition of never signing top laners who actually main top. That support player went along with it though because he might be the nicest human being who has ever graced the earth. His name is Kiwi Kid. Kiwi was sort of the anti-Dom, a super polite and wholesome guy. He was so sweet towards everyone, he would give you a cavity if you stayed in his presence for too long.
I just feel really lucky. I feel really grateful every day. I know I don't mean to like look down on others, but you know, I have a working body and everything. I feel really blessed, and I just, you know, as long as I can walk and I can think and I can sleep, like some people have a lot of other things, and yeah, I don't really. It sounds like I'm comparing myself to them.
The Kiwi and Kitty, that one post-game interview was still one of the funniest interviews I've ever seen in my life. Oh, holy shit. I can't believe how many good moments happened that year. Like between, like in the span of like a year and a half, between all this stuff, it was so funny.
Really feel lucky.
I can't increase the volume, no.
This niceness also showed in his professional career, as once he was on Dignitas, he would stay loyal to the organization, playing for them the rest of his time as a professional League of Legends player. Dignitas would then turn around and reward him by never taking first place in anything ever again. At this point in history, the LCS era for League of Legends had just kicked off, and for the most part, this was the start of a pretty boring era of competitive play. League had moved on from the fun, hyped-up tournament circuit of old and moved into a more traditional sports model. This includes a grueling regular season that only had a short playoff bracket at the end of spring and summer, meaning a lot of games had very few stakes built into them with hardly any hype at all. I mean, a win or a loss in any regular season game doesn't nearly carry the same sort of weight that a tournament set win or loss is going to have, so it's going to be pretty tough for Dignitas to continue their weird streak of play. On a completely unrelated note, though, let's talk about Baron for a second. So Baron is a boss monster on Summoner's Rift. That's pretty important. If you kill him, getting the last hit, you will get a big buff for your team that does a lot of good. Oftentimes, getting this buff can win you a game. The catch is, because he's a boss monster, he's really hard to take down, and if you go in unprepared, he might kill you himself, or if the enemy team catches you trying to take him down when you're unprepared, then they can oftentimes kill you and then finish him off, winning the game just like that. The point being, it's very important that you only go for Baron if you know it's a safe and good idea, and almost every team in League of Legends knows this. Almost every team.
From the back, Baron losing 4 health and 1,000 health. Oh my god, Nintendo steals it, and there's the shockwave. Do they have the damage? Scar does not have Sonia's North Sarah. Will they get the player around the corner? There goes Darius, he goes into this one. Inhibitor has respawn, and here they go for the fight. They're gonna have health. Ready to play Baron. Actually gets in the fight.
Good times, good times.
Has the low HP bars on Dick.
Does FGG have the focus to pull this fight to Baron? Cruiser goes down immediately. Xfinity Big with a double kill. Cutie Pie, Dig, why did you go for Baron?
Nobody in the history of League of Legends has been better at leading in a game, going to Baron, and then losing the match than Dignitas. Dig has managed to do this so often that people started creating montages of how frequently they would throw games at Baron after only a single year of LCS play. Just 1 year of LCS, and they were already doing this so often that you could populate a montage video with it. But of course, 1 year.
Psycho Sin and Jake?
IEM years later. After that, they would throw at Baron in 2016 NALCS.
The Q is in, the Q is on, he's gonna have to take before it wears off, the Q's off, he goes in, that's gonna be the laser shield from GBM. There he gets taken by energy, and Blake is left wondering right now. Three, very low.
They would even throw at Baron as recently as 3 months ago.
There's another back line, big chunk right there. Could they find the kill? Sunday kills Hootie, and it's a fight in for Prig. He grabs the Baron, but the team fight is going all the way 100 Thieves. It's a complete ace as a trade for the Baron gold.
Definitely a Dignitas game freak, but
It's as if this is a part of their soul. I mean, no matter how hard they try, Dignitas even today cannot stop themselves from being who they are. There's probably something beautiful about that. This kind of extreme gameplay is what allowed Dignitas to continue being the oddballs they've always been, even with the regular pedestrian structure of LCS. Like, it's a pretty big joke in multiple fan communities that, you know, their team always gives them heart attacks with close games, but Dignitas' results and inconsistencies are honestly something of legend. Let's rewind the clock a bit to show you what I mean, going back to the very first split of LCS. Headed into 2013, Dignitas were a bit of a question mark in that they had just shown how good they could be with their beautiful regionals run, but also showed the opposite end of the spectrum with their Worlds performance. Their first week of LCS started off a little bit inconsistently with 1 win and 2 losses, but after that, they would shock a lot of people by quickly bouncing back, going 3-0 week 2, and almost immediately establish themselves as one of the top teams with a big win against
Dude, Kiwi Singed unbeatable, by the way.
Which they finally decided to start doing again halfway through the season.
When you're inting, you're actually distracting the team. You're a pressure sponge.
In week 7. Being first place here, it should mean that it's going to be easy for them to snag one of these top 2 seeds, which would earn them a bye, guaranteeing a minimum of 4th place in the playoffs. Although, okay, they're slipping a little bit here, but it's okay. Just got 2 weeks to go. Surely you guys can win enough to hold on to this lead, right? The final week of the season, Dignitas missed out on their bye, and that meant they had to play in the first round of the spring playoff.
Rest in
they lost 2
peace.
games to 1, and we're now put into a relegation series having to re-qualify for LCS before the next split. Looking back on these stats, I honestly don't know how it's possible to go from this to this.
Takes some poke, and Will G goes out the scrum, splashing and lands the EQ. Then taking the oh my gosh, the person, but Toy falls over, and there's Party, Cutie Pie as well.
Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. In 2014, Dignitas were shaping up to be a really good team once again. They still had Crumbs, Cutie Pie, and Kiwi Kid from their earlier roster, but had now brought in a new superstar mid laner Shifter, as well as Zion Spartan. Zion would be their top laner, and was surprisingly someone who actually mained top lane. This team didn't need to wait at all for getting off to their...
I told the team when I left, I was like, I'll only step down if you get Danny, because I think he's the best available player left. Turns out, no one told me, but GGU had incredibly high internal drama, and Zion and Danny hated each other, which I think they're fine later years after, but they hated each other. So we brought 2 people who are stars at their game, like really fucking good players, together on a team the next season where they fucking hated each other. and I was just like, what?
Their hot start, as the very first week of LCS, Dig would win 3 games, only losing 1, snagging 2nd place. Again, they would win all of their matches in week 2 to get 1st overall. And again, week in and week out, they were crushing everyone in North America. They might lose once in a blue moon, but they were clearly a top 2 team, never ranking lower than a tied 1st place in LCS. Oh, where'd you go, Dig? Wow. Dignitas went 2-8 their last 3 weeks of LCS to go from easily getting a bye to, again, just barely not being relegated. In their playoff series, Dig would lose in the first round 3 games to 1, repeating history. These losses would cause them to miss out on not just a shot at an LCS title, but a shot at qualifying for a world championship. But okay, this has to be a freak occurrence, right? They can't keep finding a way to do this. A year later, Dignitas acquired a roster that was loaded with talent once again. They still had Kiwi Kid and Shifter from before, but at this point, they started acquiring some legendary Korean import players to play alongside them. Helios was a Korean superstar who previously played on Azubu Blaze, one of Korea's first 2 dominant teams in the region. They would also get Core JJ, who joined their team as a support, who was so talented and had so much potential, he would go on to win a world championship. Lastly, their roster was rounded out with Gamsu, their top laner, who was again, to everyone's surprise, a top laner who actually mained top lane. Again in week 1, Dignitas would start off a little bit weak, showing that they were beatable, but they would quickly establish themselves as competitors who were regularly bouncing between the top 3 teams in the standings once again. As week 7 approached, they were poised to qualify for the playoffs with just a few wins here or there. Come on, Dig, let's see you do this for your fans. Once again, Dignitas fell to barely qualify for the playoffs at all. They were eliminated round 1, missing out on another shot at an LCS title and another shot at Worlds. It's honestly insane how often Dignitas continued this seesawing between being a good team and a bad team. Throughout even the most plain and boring league formats, they were a gift of entertaining joy for fans for such a long period of time, but after a while, it looked like that time was about to come to an end. In an effort to stabilize the structure of LCS, Riot Games would be moving to a franchised system similar to other more successful traditional sports leagues starting in 2018. This meant that teams would have to apply for admission with the company while paying a big hefty fee if they got accepted, while then—
Dude, a zingy, dude. Crumbs ditched us for a South American girl in the middle of the season and left us with it wasn't a Ziggy, it was someone else. God, who was it? It was the Hecarim player. God, when he told us this on Beyond the Rift, I was just like, what the fuck? I can't even be that mad. DJ Lambo, that was it. And like we sucked with DJ Lambo. Obviously, we had to get this guy last minute. He never played competitive before. We got like 0-2 during the week. The worst part, he watched our games with his girl. Fucking South America, dude.
and getting to enjoy benefits of a franchise model.
Yeah, he went to Smash,
however, Dignitas
dude.
would have their bid rejected and would not be participating in the LCS for the foreseeable future. It likely didn't have anything to do with their wacky or wild play, as honestly, they were great entertainment for LCS while they were still there. This team has always put out great products courtesy of the players, but the organization of Dignitas itself wasn't always all that well liked.
If you talk to a lot of the old members of Dignitas, especially League of Legends team, I think every single one of them disliked Dig. As an org, they were well known to be one of the worst orgs to play for in the league. And
True.
And although the players loved, or the fans loved Dig, every single fan loved the players. They didn't love the organization.
It was a bit of an open secret in esports that Dignitas wasn't really the best when it came to how they treated their players and managed the League of Legends side of their organization. If you spend much time around esports veterans, they'll probably start throwing out plenty of horror stories about some of these early days of Dig before you know it. But honestly, I don't think the story is really all that much about Dignitas, at least not directly. This story, told over the course of 7 years, is about a team, but a team of players above all else. Players who were such odd goofballs that they reminded you what it was that made esports so special in the first place. It's not about the $1 million contracts, or winning big arenas, or winning tournaments, or even trying to become the best in the world. Esports are great because it's filled with weirdos, nerdy kids who might not be much good at anything in real normal life, but they are good at one thing, and they can build a life here. They can have a personality that they build up behind a new name, and those personalities can mean something. I mean, they can make you laugh, make you smile, make you cry. They allow you to get distracted from all the horrors of the real world, even for just a second, and you can get lost in silly adventures that they might not mean much, but they're entertaining. And you know, if you get some joy out of following it, then maybe it does mean something after all. At the end of the day, there has never been a team with more personality on it than Dignitas and Rock Solid. Today, almost every one of Dig's original members are still around in the league community, which is a testament to how larger than life their personalities really were. Jat had a huge casting career and recently became the head coach of Team Lit.
It's actually crazy. Dig was the original talent farm, dude. Every one of the roster, like the middle roster, is still playing right now, dude. We got Dom Voy keeping it down league. I'm here in TFT, Valorant, got PoE. Got Cutie's been streaming like a powerhouse forever, dude. We crushed it, man. We got the. I think if you were on Dig, you knew that the org didn't have your back, so you had to have your own. And then you saw you saw like everyone else. You're like, I could fucking do that. Well, Kiwi, he works at Riot, dude. He's got like a wife. He's chilling. Dude, without us being the LCS, those would have been boring ass years, man. Some of the CLG and TSM games were okay, but without us, dude, that would have been it was before the first year of LCS and the year before, it would have been really boring, I think. Finish the video fine.
Liquid, Scarra became one of the biggest teamfight tactics streamers in that game's entire existence. Voyboy and Dominate are still huge presences in the League of Legends streaming scene.
True.
And IEM Kiev is one of the biggest and most successful streamers of all time. And I don't know how this happened. I mean, how did all of these guys end up on the same team? Personally, my theory, that original creation of Rock Solid's first roster, it birthed something. Something that has permeated through sponsorship changes, through roster swaps and tournament formats. Something that has blessed and cursed this team to always be beautifully weird. Call it fate, call it destiny, call it God. But I swear, something looks after them and prevents them from ever being normal. Just a few years after being removed from LCS, it was announced in 2019 that Dignitas were returning. One of the teams that had replaced them, Clutch Gaming, who was owned by the Houston Rockets, would have a majority stake in the company bought by Dignitas, and the team would rebrand themselves with their name of old. Now, from what I've read, Dignitas has been trying to change and move forward in a more progressive direction compared to their mismanaged past, but whatever direction they may go in, I'd like to believe that original Rock Solid spirit is still with them. I mean, the Clutch Gaming roster they bought out had just gone to the 2019 World Championship and
not
went
really.
winless in group stage, the exact same way Dignitas did all those years ago in Season 2. In the following 2020 season, it may be tough to believe that this name still has some magic in it, but let's look and see what Dig has done in League of Legends so far. They started off by giving an astronomical salary to a player who would then leave the team before even finishing his first split. They then signed legendary old pros who everybody loves, creating a team of adorable goofballs. That team then crushed the LCS for a bit before sliding late in the season, just barely losing tiebreakers to not make it to the playoffs. Yeah, this is Dignitas, all right. This team is a fever dream. They are blessed and cursed. They have one of the strangest histories you'll ever find in any esport, but have brought joy to the faces of thousands in spite of it. They will be remembered 100 years from now.
It's a good fucking doc, dude. Gbay, good shit, man. That was good. That was real fucking good. Good shit, Gbay. Dude, good times. Good times. You didn't know this history with me? Yeah, a lot of people think I started with like, I don't know, as a streamer or something, but like I used to be a pro player during the best of times. I think being a pro player then was like probably the most fun, in my opinion. Not saying that like honestly, I'm just not super sweaty on it. I feel like I don't have the killer instinct necessary to be like cutthroat the best, you know, because I just get distracted too easily. But it's the best for fun year for sure. The miss coaching, not at all. Get me out. What else are funny stories about that time? Oh my holy fuck, dude. We did a 3-way swap for crumbs. So during this roster, I think it was right after.
Yeah, as the year passed by, it started. Firstly, their legend.
Okay, wait, is it this roster? No. It was the one with crumbs. Fuck, I don't remember. That roster with crumbs was so funny, dude. It was because like Void, it was the one with crumbs dominate. It was like Void needed to, like, Void wanted to join CLG, and then like their 3-way swap like gave us crumbs, and then whatever the CLG player, like, was it Elements, went to Curse, something like that, and that was a real fun time, dude. It was Saint the Curse. Yeah, that was one of the. I still remember that moment because after the trade, like Void told us, and then we're like, okay, and Void came back the next day was like, I've made a huge mistake, and I think Cutie recorded that the like the day after where he's like please take me back. God, I wonder if he still has the original recording. It would be ultra embarrassing if that ever leaked. I don't think he does. No, I don't think he does anymore. Hold on. Let me go through some of these. Hold on. Okay, Noblesse will buy for 3 months. Kuzarax, thanks for sub. Otaris Villar, welcome out for 9. Lexidian, welcome out for 7. Summon Pickle 1232, thanks for sub. I 672, welcome out for 2. Chinese Boy, welcome out for 6. Phoenix Z, welcome out for 2. Bomber X, welcome out for 2. Ukjon, thanks for sub. And Wixty, welcome out for 2. Keypie is online? Nah, it's okay. How's your first All Stars? Remember you were on the NA team with Darius Uplift? I think me and Saint played like 2 games together, like during the training camp, and then like it was like completely uncompatible, like actually 0% compatibility. I think at the time I was playing like my champ pool was really bad, and I was playing like kind of passive, so they're just like, we're playing Karthus every game, and Saint just like, I'm never coming mid, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So it didn't really feel like a team thing. It was just like a was it a super team? I mean,
Winners bracket and Chickstick Elo.
Double Up got a pentakill on Ezreal. Talking about poaching. Oh my god. Okay. During that CLG poaching like accusation, like, man, should I talk about this? I guess it doesn't matter because I don't really care anymore. But like, that poaching thing happened because at the time, me and Odie were real homies. Like, I talked to Odie every day, pretty much. And when I first got approached by CLG to coach them, I was like, yo, Odie, what do you think? Are you cool if I take this? Like, what do you think I should consider this? And then, like, he was not very happy that I was like considering it. And then, like, okay, it happened. I swapped teams. Someone else, like Zion, came with me, something like that, right? And then I got this poaching allegation. I'm just like, well, I mean, yeah, maybe it was true, like for sure, right? But they have no evidence. Like, there's no way they would know. I got investigated by a special Riot person, and I was like, you know what? Nothing happened, and you can't prove that something did. Turns out they can if OD gives him the logs. So after that, I remember talking to Odie at the next event. And I was like, Odie, did you tell them that this was it? And he confirmed it, and I was like, all right, that's all I need to know. I didn't talk to him for like another 2 years, or some shit like that. And then when I saw him in my chat, like, because he comes around here here and there, right? Because he no longer manages Dignitas, right? I remember seeing him and I was fucking triggered. I was like, God damn. But now I don't give a shit. Like, I see him, hey, what's up, Odie? You fucked me on my salary before. We paid our own rent, but don't worry, dude. I don't hold it against you, man. I actually don't care at all. But like, I just remember back then I was like, huh, I got fucked. Yeah, he's still in chat here and there. Oh, Dig had like the strangest fucking structure, like structure ever. Like, actually their structure made no sense. Like their upper management structure had no substance, but somehow a team bought them out. And the entire time I was just like, there's no justice in this world because this happened. No, it wasn't the paid in mouse pads thing. It was like literally their entire upper, like, they didn't pay a lot of their upper management, and it was all promises of like, when we make millions of dollars, dude, you guys will be first to get paid out. And it was just like Odie and a shadow owner who owned everything on Dig. And like, turns out they did get bought out, and they were able to pay people out. But up until that point, I was just like, what the fuck management is this? There was no justice back then, dude. I do think it hilariously funny when like the people who bought Dig came in, and you could tell they were just like, wait, what? Huh? Where's the structure, the foundation? And like they had to like do a lot to kind of recover it. Most of the orgs work that way. I don't think they were. Yeah, but the other orgs paid people. I don't even think Dig was paying people. At least not much. But like, the mouse pads meme was true. Like, you were paid your first, like, if you wrote for Dig, like, you were paid in mouse pads and exposure, and then finally they would pay you in a hoodie and then give you a full-time job and pay you like per article, something like that. Like, it wasn't a meme. It was actually just like they got paid in mouse pads. You know, anyone you thought he was really good in season 2 that everyone forgot about? Much to Yearn was the solo queue prodigy that never made it. I remember I always hyped up this guy. He was a Fiora only player who ended up being like an incredible player, but he just never played. Last night, Ari was talking about some much messed up stuff when she used to work for NRG, try to transfer to Equifox. Yeah, I heard some. I mean, the NRG president got fired, doesn't work there for a reason now. I've heard some bad stories about NRG. Like, there was no good stories about the early work. Let me put it this way. There was no good stories. Like, early TSM, early CLG. The fucking Link could sit here. I just have to get him drunk enough, and we could sit here for like 7 hours talking about CLG. Like, literally, there is everything was bad about old orgs. Like, that Dunzo manifesto, they even cover like 10%. I always thought it'd be funny if like me and Saint, or like I sat down with someone from the old days and was just like, okay, guys, this is what really happened. You know, Odie fucking scammed me here. Darius leaked me this here. We did collude over here. You remember when this happened? That was funny too. All right. Yeah. It was like, dude. Old leak history is so fucking funny, dude. Darius was gonna do something like that, but then it wasn't worth it. Yeah. I would do it as a humor thing, as opposed to like a vindictive thing. Like, I don't care about any of the stuff that happened to me. I accept that, hey, I left Dig with like no money in my bank account. I had to stream 29 days that month to make sure I had enough money to live. I don't care that like Dig didn't pay rent. Fuck it. We were just all fucking slate. We lived in California on like zero salary, dude. I don't care that Dig. Okay, I'm starting to care now that I'm starting to say this. Wait a second. Dude, the fuck. Dig did so many things to me, man. Oh my god. I left Dig and I'm like, hey Dig, these are all the utilities. I'm gonna give you a doc with the utilities. These are all the things you need to call to change over to whoever's name is gonna be put on the utility bills, because it was under me. Because unlike other orgs, we paid for rent and I paid for all the utilities. My name was under everything, because that's just how professional stuff was back then. Turns out they didn't do that. They forgot to switch over the electricity bill. It ended up going over and they closed the account. My credit rating went down 120 points or something, 70. And then when I was looking for apartments the next year after the COG stint, I couldn't find a place, because it turns out, hey, my credit score was so shit, I couldn't find any of the places. So I'm crashing at High's fucking couch looking for apartments, being like, where the fuck, like, how am I supposed to get into one with no credit score? And then I got so lucky because there was a cosplayer that I knew. Her mom was the manager for a property and she could vouch for me. And so I was able to just be like, okay, can I please pay for this place? The money wasn't the issue. It was like my credit score was so bad I couldn't, like, they wouldn't trust me. No, it wasn't my girlfriend. Absolutely not. And so like she vouched for me. I was able to get in and I was like, thank the fucking Lord. Now my credit score is sick. It's like, I looked at it, it's like 770 or something. It's like something insane. I don't even know how it's so good. I looked at it recently. I was like, shit. Google your net worth. Okay, this is Scarra net worth. Scarra, it is an American YouTube channel that has a net worth of 381,000. How did they calculate this? They even say how much money I made today? I don't even fucking know that. Cannot confirm or deny the number. Honestly, because I don't know myself. Look. I just bought some stocks. So actually, the number is completely wrong. It's about to be 10 times that, because I just got in on some stocks and they're gonna go like this, okay? Like fucking this. Like you guys are gonna watch Danny and he's gonna be like, my stocks dropped. And you're gonna come over to my stream and be like, boys, we're fucking chilling. Going to the moon. True. Talk stocks? No. I just decided to go in on something that I've been eyeing for a while. I was looking for a second dip, and I wasn't sure if it was coming. But then, what ended up happening was COVID forced stores to reclose again, which shook the stock market, and it did dip again, not as severely. And I was like, this is a good time to go in. And I think I just have, I'm in a couple things, probably for a long term. So talk to me in about a year from now, and I'll let you know how much money I made, okay? It was water parks. Oh yeah, hell yeah, dude. Wait, okay, no fucking meme. You know how I've been fucking with you, or like I've been messing around with SeaWorld, because SeaWorld is just stupid. Like SeaWorld, like. If you looked at SeaWorld recently, this is how it goes. It goes like this. Boom. Okay? And like, because when COVID happens, no one goes to theme parks. On top of that, SeaWorld has one of the highest operating costs of anything, right? Because they have to keep the tanks closed and make sure the animals are alive. Their CEO, who's new, came in this year and fucking quit instantly. So like, it's all the things that point that this company is fucked. And I keep looking at the stock and I'm just like, yeah, but does it go up again? like what happens if it what happens if it goes I'm like, dude, I'm out. I can't do SeaWorld. For me, SeaWorld is just like another Hertz, where like Hertz was supposed to go bankrupt. This is the car rental company. But what happened was like people was like the article about Robinhood investors ended up buying so much Hertz because they saved the company. So like it's still borderline like afloat through like people just trying to make money. Like they're supposed to be bankrupt by now, but like their stock has more of dude, I'm pretty sure offline's worth more than Hertz is right now. But like, yeah, so like Hertz is in like this really weird position where like at any point you could just zero out. That company literally just dies. The liquidating vehicles at the moment, yeah, but at some point people are just waiting to like, if it ever bumps up or goes too low, like maybe I can make money, and everyone's just like, I don't know, doing some crazy shit with Hertz right now. I'm telling you for sure, get a couple hundred, is go up for sure, at least double. Oh god, okay. Do not take advice from anyone in my chat or from me. I'm not a certified professional. I have these things called feelings, and I feel that I've chosen some stuff that I'm kind of interested in. I'm about to get a letter from SEC for manipulating his viewers. Is that actually, can I actually get a letter from that? Yeah, there's no way, right? That's not investing in crypto. Okay, I'll tell you guys where okay, I'm not comfortable talking about my investments on stock right now because I feel like it's like I'm gonna make money off this. I think it's like if you choose a relatively safe long-term prospect in the current COVID area, there's very likely you're gonna make money in the long run because it's like a very unique point when the market is down more than it should be. I'm pretty certain of that fact. Okay. But when it comes to crypto, I have made very bad choices. So, my friend, who I'm not going to name, convinced me to go in on crypto. And I remember talking to Pokey about it. I was really excited. I was like, dude, it's the wave, bro. Like crypto, I think it was 2013. I'm like, crypto is going nuts. No, it was before Toast even moved in. So I was like, dude, it's going crazy. And you remember when 2013, I think it was 2013, crypto was like going insane. Crypto was like, if you were trading crypto, it was like trading the stock market in March. If you were doing Wall Street bets on the stock market in March, you were making like hand over fist, like cash if you're doing options in March. So it was not the same. I went in, and so I didn't want to go through Bitcoin so I started through Ethereum, and through Ethereum, I wanted to go through lesser coins. That was just what I wanted to do, my original plan. I didn't want to stay in Ethereum, which obviously there's a higher risk, higher reward when you go for different coins. So I went from Ethereum. Oh man, hold on. Before I say this, let me go look to see. Let me just go look. This is gonna be ugly. Okay, hold on. What's the other one? Okay. So. Oh, this one actually looks. Oh no, sorry. It wasn't 2013. It was 2018 was the big spike. Sorry. Let me go double check to make sure I'm certain about this. Yeah, during 2017, 2018 was the big spike for crypto. So I invested into these two coins. Okay? Both ICX and Stellar Lumens, which I had done some research on. And I was like, you know what? This for sure is going to do well. So in 2018, it was about here, and before it reached like the dollar amount, I was like, you know what? It can go higher. And then over here, I think this is like, it was somewhere over here where I went in on both. I lost 90% of my money. I think 94. Oh yeah, I know I had to get out. But I'm currently like I could not have made it worse than, I might as well have burned my fucking coins. Oh shit. Oh shit. I didn't sell. Because like I was just like, look, fuck it. After a certain point, it dropped so low that I'm like, fuck it. We'll just wait, and maybe in the future, Icon could be worth $1 billion. It's not even worth it to me to recoup the money that I lost. Like it's like when am I gonna report to my fucking accountant? So I withdrew my crypto coins, and they're worth about like, you know, a couple hundred. She's just gonna be like, "Didn't you spend them on gifting subs to that one guy?" I'm like, okay, you know what? I didn't even need to tell you, man. I will say the one positive for me is I don't have to pay capital gains, because capital gains tax requires you to make money on your on your investments. Anyways, so that's my investment history. I'll talk to you guys a year from now, and I'll say, maybe not a year, a couple months from now, and I'll talk to you guys about, be like, this is what's happening with me in stocks. I have okay, so for now I have a finance guy who does stocks for me. And I also have personally set aside some money for me to do it myself. It's not like a comparison or like a thing. It's just like I'm doing a little bit more risky stuff than he would do. And he's doing his own thing, which he's doing pretty well. I think we just got out even, and it's looking really good. So yeah, that's like my current, like all my finances are all tied up neatly now. I have an accountant for both myself and offline, and everything's like really nice. It took me a long time to get to this point in my life.